Good afternoon, welcome to the lesson. And today I want us to cover the first 7 questions that we expect come the next 2 weeks from now. I want us to go through what we call the map reading and interpretation. What we have gotten in terms of prediction. Remember, it is under map reading and interpretation. We are supposed to go through the map very keenly. We understand by analyzing what is in the map. We interpret it well before we answer questions. Now, the Kcpe 2022 under map reading, we are expecting to have a question from direction. It's a common question that we expect to have, direction. Maybe they ask you to identify the general direction of the flow of the river, or identify the direction of the rising or the sloping of the land in the map, or identify the highest or the lowest point of the map. So a question from direction, and mostly we say that the learner should draw what we call a compass direction that should cover the 3 quarters of the map. Then from there, after doing all the interpretation, a learner should be able to answer questions from direction. You might be asking maybe to explain what you call the general rising of the land, from which side to which side, or from which position to which position. What we say that mostly when they say that the land rises, when we say that the land rises, it rises from a lowland to a highland. The land rises from low to high. Or we say the land slopes from. Slopes from a high area to a lowland. So the 2 questions are likely to be captured in an exam come Kcpe this year. The land rises from low to high, or the land slopes from high to low. The next thing is the distance. You are going to measure the distance of roads. Can be maram roads, can be tarmac roads, can be a roller line, can be maybe finding the area of a game park, finding the area of a certain plantation, drawn of different mathematics figures. We can be having a circle, we might be having a rectangle, a triangle, a trapezium. We just apply the formula of mathematics when finding the area of n mathematical shape that is being drawn under map reading. So drawing or measuring the distance, it's a common question that we expect as we approach the next paper. So the 2 questions. Number 1, a question must be tested from distance. They are saying that the direction of a certain place from. The word from should be giving you the direction. So you start from the word from. Direction may be of the church from something. So from something, then we walk to the church. The distance, we must measure distance of either roads, have I said, or any mathematical shape that will be given. Please, we apply the formula. We have what we call finding the area of an irregular shape. I want to show you something here. We assume that maybe, but the next people, they are good, they always draw for learners. Maybe you have a figure like this, then they tell you that to find the area of this irregular shape. The first what we do, we use a pencil and a ruler, we measure a margin. At this point, we draw a margin like this. This is a margin this way. This is my rough work, but we should be doing something like this. So finding the area of this an irregular shape, I will take my compass, then I go to the scale, I measure maybe 1 kilometer. At this point, 1 kilometer, the 1 kilometer, 1 kilometer, 1 kilometer, as I will be guided by the scale. I go back to the scale, confirm whether it's also 1 kilometer. I come this side here, I measure 1 kilometer, maybe here 1 kilometer, another 1 kilometer here, another one at this point. With the same measurements, I come down here, also measure 1 kilometer here, another kilometer here, another kilometer here. I proceed to the the top part of this figure, the 1 kilometer, the 1 kilometer, the 1 kilometer. Then now I'm going to join these points. I'll join using a ruler and a pencil. This way, this is my rough work. That way, this is my rough work. Good. Then I'll join again from this side to this side using a ruler. Our planners, you have to be very much accurate. This is neck. That way. Good. Then you are being asked maybe to find the area of this an irregular shape. Maybe it was a farm plantation. Maybe it was a size of farm. It was a national park. So what you do, we count the number. We say the number of full squares. Full squares. Number of full squares. What do you do here? We count the number of full squares. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 according to me. So the number of full squares is 5. Then the number of half full squares. I come here. I start from this point. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So number of half full squares are 14. So I'll say 14 kilometers square because the area, the units of area is square kilometer, or it is square. So as per my scale, maybe if it was drawn in terms of kilometers, so I have found the number of full squares. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have 5 kilometers square. The number of full squares, I have 14. Now since there are 14, I want to convert into a whole number. I will divide it by 2. Then I get 7 kilometers square. So this answer, I'm going to add it to the number of full squares, which was 5. So I'll say 5 kilometers square. I'll add it to 7 kilometers square. My answer comes, the answer comes 12 kilometers square. This is the area of an irregular shape. The first thing, we draw a margin. But now for neck, they must draw for you. It is drawn. Your work is just counting the number of full squares, and you put it aside. Then you count the number of our full squares divided by 2, converting into whole numbers. What you get, you add to the number of full squares. Then you get your answer. Mine was 12 as a rough work. Now you have seen what we are expected to have this question in exam, finding the distance over some figures. We have climate. Climate, mostly what we consider, it is the type of vegetation and the nature of the type of the economic activities in the pattern. Especially, maybe we have tea, we have coffee, we have pyrethrum. That climate is cool and wet. The tea, pyrethrum, and the coffee does well where we have the high altitudes areas, where the climate is cool and wet, a high amount of rainfall, of course, convection, and cool conditions. So the climate of a place, in case maybe we have crops like shrubs, we might be having things like shrubs somewhere. A shrub is a semi-arid, we can say semi-arid or a desert vegetation. Then we have what you call shrubs. Shrubs is a savanna vegetation. We can say savanna vegetation or tropical savanna vegetation. Shrubs, these are short, tall, umbrella-shaped trees. Then we have scrubs that does well on in dry areas. So also let's go through the climate. Things like dairy farming, they can do well where the climate is cool and wet. Remember, dairy farming, what you consider most is what you call climate, dairy animals. Coffee farming. But if we have scrubs, these are semi-arid or desert plants, the climate is always very, very, very poor. So if you want to determine the climate of a certain place, please go around and check the kind of the vegetation grown in the area. The settlement patterns in the map, we might be having what you call linear along the roads. We have clustered, we said, settled at a certain point in the map. Then we have nucleated, settled at the certain side of the map. We have densely, we have sparsely. We can call it sparsely all scattered. they mean the same thing. So linear along roads, we assume that we have these are the roads and we have members along this. This is linear along roads, along rivers. Then we have what you call scattered. Scattered, it is sparsely or scattered or displaced or dispersely. We have clustered. Members do live at a certain point of the map. Clustered looks like this. Clustered looks like this. And the nucleated, these members do live on a certain part of the map. So the settlement patterns, we like to have that question. And please, boys and girls listening and watching me, we have to be very much careful on how to answer these questions from the population distribution. Economic activities, you can't always ask the main or the major economic activity. We are supposed to count the number of activities. Maybe if it was farming, count the number of crops in the region. If it is trading, count the number of trading areas, markets, shops in the region. If it is livestock keeping, please you count the number of cattle deep. If it is mining, count the number of mining sites. If it is lumbering, also count the number of the lumbering sites. So what we are likely to have this in the map, especially the common one, as we have said here, we have the issue of crop growing, we have livestock keeping. Name the least common activity in the map. We have mining, of course, and the lumbering sometimes. But the crop growing and livestock keeping, they tend to be somehow the most common tested in an exam. The social services, we have things like schools, hospitals, things that they do serve members from the community and from the society, regardless of the tribe or gender or whatever. So the services in the map can be transport services, can be communication. Remember, we have what we call the post office and the police station. The post office is for communication, is sending and receiving letters. But the police station is all about what we call security as a social service. We have what we call health facilities, a social service. We have the churches, the schools. Those are the most common social services offered in the area. And when a question comes, let us be very much vigilant. They can ask a question from the area, and you end up answering a question from what you call the town. Or they ask a question from the town. Mfano, they use Mtwapa area. Then we have Magongo town. A question is from Magongo town, but somebody answered the question from Mtwapa area. You end up missing the question. We have local authorities in terms of administration, the county offices, the sub-county offices. Who is in charge of the county? Who is the senior most administrator in the county? Who is in charge of a certain town? So we have the county commissioner, we have the county government, we have the chief, we have the division,